Hey, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. Sorry I'm a little late. One of those days. Which seems like a ridiculous thing to say. It's been one of those days, weeks, months, years, millennia. Anyway, it's good to be with you all. It has been, it's weird. It feels like there's a lot of news and then there's no news. And in some ways, we're just kind of holding our breath, waiting for the real stuff to kick in. But in a weird way, it feels like what's not happening is at least as important as what is happening, at least domestically. Obviously, there's a lot happening. Syria, Ukraine, uh, the Middle East in general, Russia. But in terms of here, and we've talked about this a lot. Again, it's democratic. I don't know if it's inaction or capitulation or indifference or I don't know how to define it actually, but just a lot not happening on the left and lots of anticipatory obedience in the media and among really, 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 really rich people who apparently don't have enough money. And, lots of maneuvering on the right. I was thrilled to see Mitt Romney pretend that, Donald Trump is going to be different this time around. I don't remember who the interview was. Well, I'm sure one of you might know, but it's like, just go away, Mitt. Just go away. So we're going to dive into your questions, but before we do, I just want to say very, very happy birthday to one of our awesome moderators, Susan Thompson. I believe her birthday was on Friday. So hope you had a wonderful celebratory weekend. And everybody send Susan some love. All right, here we go. Quick programming note. First of all, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And there will not be an Ask Me Anything Within Reason next Sunday, but there will be on Christmas Day evening. So I'll keep you posted about that. So again, there will not be an Ask Me Anything Within Reason on a week from today. There will be one on December 25th, Tuesday, December 25th, which is both Christmas and the first night of Hanukkah. And we'll be doing that at the same time, 6 o'clock. Okay, here we go. From Rosanna, why can't the MAGA people just be happy now that their leader won? Yeah, you'd think, right? You'd think. The reason is because they are never happy. Like their whole shtick is grievance and whining and never having enough. And I mean, look, it starts with Donald. Can you think of anybody on the planet who has less right to complain than Donald Trump? He's a pathetic loser who's accomplished nothing on his own and actually earned nothing his whole life. And he's really, really, really rich. And twice now, thanks to lots of help from the Republican Party, suspect foreign actors, and a plurality of the American people who either aren't paying attention or don't give a shit about anything or really like fascism. He's once again the most important and powerful person on the planet, and yet all that little whiny baby does is complain. So it should not surprise us that conservative white people never feel like they get their due. It's just another sign that we just, you know, we have not oh, you know what? I apologize. I was supposed to do that so your questions could be seen. Um yeah, we just have a lot of educating to do, but we might have to wait a while. I think in the meantime, what the left needs to do is come up with a strategy. It can't be again, it won't be able we won't be able to implement it for a while, but something has got to give for sure. Um okay, from Roxanne. What is your plan for inauguration day? Suggestions for surviving it? Well, I'm going to go away for a bit. I mean, I'm wherever I go, I'll be working, so it's not a vacation. It's more, just wanna see how things shake out, so I need if I need to jump ship, I will. Um, I am not we've been talking a bit about this, what is our programming going to be like? And I have to be honest with you, we will have programming, and we will certainly have probably an emergency nerds that evening. But I personally, like, just for the safety of my mental health, I can't watch it. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't think, uh, I just don't think it's fair, to have to watch that, and I would recommend that none of you watch the inauguration. We can talk about it after the fact. And I don't really honestly, I don't really care about the inauguration. It's just no matter who it is. What I mean is it doesn't have any, there might be symbolic meaning, but it's not like news. Um, what is going to be more important are the um sorry, I'm having one of my cats seems to be having some kind of I don't know if she has allergies or she has a cold. And today I started having allergies too. Like, or I don't think allergies are first of all, I don't think they're contagious, and secondly, I don't think there's feline to human transfer, but something weird is going on. It may be because it's getting really cold here, and I have the heat on. That's probably what's going on, and I just haven't fired up all the humidifiers yet. So forgive me. Yeah, so we'll most likely be covering the executive actions, he's signed because he's threatening to do lots of damage, like, in the first 5 minutes of, his presidency. So there you go. I suggest all of you don't please don't watch inauguration. We might live stream it, so then I probably should tell you to Mercedes is gonna kill me. I just, I have to be honest, I don't see what utility there is in watching it. I can't do it. So but we will have a lot of stuff worth watching after that. So we'll keep you posted for sure. From Vicky, sorry. What do you think of Donald inviting Xi Jinping to his inauguration? Do you think Donald would do something stupid like a power handshake? Xi should do a kung fu move and send Donald flying. Yeah, I think it's for Donald, it's just a way of showing that dictators like him and are willing to, honor him by coming to his inauguration. Um, he is the only people to whom he shows deference are totalitarian murderous thugs like Putin and Kim Jong Un and Duterte and autocrats and dictators like Xi and what's the other guy's name? Orban. So I think it's highly unlikely that Donald does his stupid power handshake, which, by the way, in my view, it's not a sign of dominance. It's just a sign of being a pathetic, prepubescent boy who is trying to gain the upper hand. And it's also really, really rude. So we just, it doesn't tell us anything about the person performing it, except that he's an idiot and a juvenile little bully. I don't, yeah, there's no, listen, if Donald were to utilize the power handshake on G, I think that would surprise me, and it would not go well. It would not that would not go over well at all. So, from Robert, do you remember Donnie ever doing anything nice for anyone, like ever? Yeah, I do. Um, I have to dig deep on this one because there's not a lot of things. And also, like, none of the quote unquote nice things he did were really incredibly meaning, substantive. I I have a couple of things in mind, but first, I feel like I need to explain something. Now, both we can say this about both Donald and my aunt Marianne. My aunt Marianne was the oldest of the five siblings. And I'm gonna leave my dad out of it. My dad was a genuinely good guy. He was just so horribly treated and so ill that he just could not survive in the family, you know, mostly because he was a good guy. Um, but and I don't know where that came from because my grandfather was a sociopath and my grandmother was not a particularly good person. But both way back when there was this tiny, tiny spark in Donald, and the same thing with my aunt that wanted to be good, right? They had that tiny impulse towards goodness, but it could just never overcome their greed. And I saw this more with Marianne than I saw it with Donald. So this is the only example, and you decide whether you think it makes up for anything. It does not. I was in college and I went to Tufts undergrad, and a couple of friends of mine just very spontaneously, because this is what kids in college do. We just jumped into my car and decided to go down to New York for the day. And I parked my car totally illegally, because I was an idiot, and I think I was 19. And we just spent the day walking around the city and going to the park and going all over the place, and I come back and my car's gone because it had been towed, and we weren't that far from Trump Tower. So we just went up to Donald's office and I explained the situation to him, and he actually gave me the money to get my car out of impound. Like the nicest thing my uncle ever did for me. It might be the only nice thing my uncle ever did for me, but there you go. See? Something. Oh, well. From Diane. Is there a way to claim a future day as do not talk about Donald Trump Day? Oh, I know that's asking a lot. Yes, Diane, that is asking way too much, apparently. No, listen, I made a pact with myself, that if Kamala Harris won the election, I would never speak about Donald again after she was inaugurated. That was my most sincere wish, that I would never, ever, ever have to talk about him again. So I don't know. So maybe the day before the inauguration could be do not talk about Donald Trump Day. And maybe we'll sort of randomly we'll just randomly call a day that, right? Maybe we'll have ask Mary anything except about Donald. I think we should totally do that. Let me know if you guys are up for that, okay? Because I am indeed. Susie, one of our awesome moderators. What bear traps do you think this administration has set, if any, that Donald won't pay any mind to? All of them. Yeah, I'm sorry to be cynical about this or negative or whatever the word is. I think that first of all, the Biden Harris administration is failing us every day. I don't think they're doing enough. Um and I think it's absolutely absurd at this point to suggest that Donald will follow any rules or will care. If that thing gets in his way. We saw this is the thing, like, we have experience of this. It's not like this is something new for us. We saw what he did to Obama. He basically undid every single Obama administration policy except he could not get rid of the Affordable Care Act. But I'm telling you, there's no John McCain anymore to stand in the way of that. So unless Democrats get their act together and win big in 20 whatever that year is going to be 2026, he's going to do whatever he wants, and we're already seeing Democrats, corporate media basically saying the field is yours, sir. So I mean, yes, I hope I'm wrong. I hope there are bear traps that actually work. Or traps, I should say. I don't want bears getting trapped in bear traps. So hopefully there are traps that are going to get sprung and that will actually, do something to at least slow him down, if not stop him. But I don't know. We're going to have to see how it plays out. I'm not confident, unfortunately. Deb, I heard a joke that Donald got Times Man of the Year because no person on earth has taken up much more of our time. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, because again, it's about that you can't call it an honor. I mean, Hitler got it. So it's not about the best person. It's about the person who's had the most impact. And I don't think you could argue with Time's decision to pick him. But again, not because he's a good guy who's done awesome things for the human race. It's because he has had a lot of influence on all of our lives. And one of the ways in which he's done that is to be incessantly present. So, yeah, I think that's probably it. And will somebody please make it stop? And the answer is no. 4 more years of this. 4 more years. Susan, hello. Once Donald and his administration take office, how will you and independent media be able to report on legitimate news since we know every government agency will be reporting propaganda? We'll just do our research. I mean, that we do what we do. I mean, also I have to be clear. Like, yeah, corporate media is already bowing down. I mean, we saw what happened with ABC News. Donald sued them. I don't know how much he sued them for, but it was an absolute bullshit lawsuit. It was a nuisance lawsuit, and it should have been dismissed, and 2, ABC should have just let it go to court because there's literally no way if things had run their course that Donald would have won their lawsuit. And I think it's because George Stephanopoulos, in referring to the defamation case that E. Jean Carroll won against Donald, said that he had raped her. And by the way, although in New York State, that was not the technical term, Judge Kaplan, who oversaw that case, said in the most in the way most people understand the word, he is guilty of rape. So what's the defamation? Also, what are the damages? Like, how do you damage somebody like him? It's absurd. So yeah, instead of letting things play out, ABC News just handed Donald $15 million because he really needs the money. So that's problematic. However, we need to remember that there are legitimate journalists and reporters, even under the umbrella of corporate media, who still do really good work. And there are sources for accurate information, and that's what we do here. You know, we get you guys the facts, and we let you know what's actually going on, and we give you our take. So that's not going to change. What hopefully is going to change is that we'll have more reach, because increasingly, thanks to things like what just ABC News just did, um, it's getting harder and harder and harder to trust corporate legacy traditional media, right? So, you know, one hopes that the upside would be that independent media will gain more traction and have more reach and influence. From Silent Night 43. The biggest question we all have right now is, are the drones here? Are the drones here to take Donald away? No. Sorry. That's the weirdest. I haven't been paying attention to it because I don't have patience for that kind of thing. But like, what is Larry Hogan, former governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, think? What does he think he's doing? I mean, with this ridiculous drone, like somebody analyzed the footage and it was literally just stars. So, and by the way, LaGuardia Airport, which is not that far from me, it's an airport. There are like lights everywhere. So I don't know. I don't know. I think people are losing their minds, quite honestly. Um, and yeah, the drones are probably just dropping off packages or something. I'm not really sure, but I'm not saying it would be a bad idea, but don't think that's what's happening. Kendra, super sticker. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Mike Wild Rivers Calor. Will things get so bad that the Pacific states, Washington, Oregon, and California, will either de facto or de jure just leave the union? I don't think that's going to happen. I think what is going to happen initially is that all blue states, or all blue not just blue states, but Democratic governors of states, because I think we can put Andy Beshear, who's a governor of very red Kentucky, in the mix here. They are going to make sure that they band together and put in place the kinds of guardrails that are no longer in place at the federal government about the against the worst incursions of the federal government. So, you know, again, the Democrats in Congress, I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know where they are. I don't know where Kamala Harris is. I don't know where Joe Biden is. No idea. Blue state governors and Democratic governors are, it seems, really, really, really stepping up. So that gives me hope. And the whole idea of leaving, it's so complicated, and I don't think it's I mean, maybe de facto. I think what's more likely to happen is that blue states start flexing their economic power, because, as you guys know, blue states pay into the federal government much more than their citizens take out, whereas it's the opposite in red states. Red states take much more from the federal government, hence blue states, than they give, than they contribute. So I think that's where states like New York and California and Illinois can really have some influence, but we're going to find out. Because they're going to have a lot to do. They're going to have a lot of work to do to protect their citizens from this rogue and dangerous regime that is coming into office on January 20th. From Roxanne, what is your long-term goal for your channel? What are your dreams for it? Okay, that's a great question. We have very big goals for the channel. We want to, as you all know, increase viewership, increase our reach, increase our programming, increase our influence. And, we have plans for all of that, but, these things take time. But one of the most important goals, which is sort of contingent upon those other things, is um, making sure that the people who have contributed, our nerds, get the recognition they're due, and that their voices get amplified on our channel and help them build out, so they also have more influence and reach going forward. So we don't have we have no we don't envision any ceiling. We're all in on this. I'm sure we all need a break, but we're not we're not going to take one because it's too important. Um, you know, uh and we're going to keep you posted all the way through about what, the new innovations and changes and additions. And again, we can't do it without you. So thank you for the question and thanks for the support because we really need it. We have a lot of competition. We don't have backing. We don't have investors. We don't want to be beholden to anybody except you guys. And that will not change ever. Okay, from Catherine. Okay, so this is about ABC again. Another example of people obeying advance. The right has already used this news to its benefit, unfortunately. Yeah, Catherine, you're absolutely right. It was just disgraceful. There's literally no other way to put it because, I've spoken to legal analysts who've made it very clear there was literally no reason for ABC to do this except to kiss Donald's ass and like he needs his ass kissed anymore. Oh, well. Diane, once Donald is sworn in, can you have a running timer that cuts down the minute until the next election? I'm of two minds about that. On the one hand, yes, we could do that. I think. Well, actually, I don't know technically if we can, but theoretically, we can. The other problem with that is that it kind of keeps it at top of mind, and we may not. I've been in situations before when I've just been counting down the seconds until, I was done with a job or I had finished a project or whatever. And it puts so much pressure on what happens when the timer finally runs down. I think we may not want to focus too much on that, but I'll think about it a little bit more. Lorianne, awesome. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Just, I need to say this. Those of you who donate, it means a lot and it means that we can do things that we would not be able to do otherwise. So thank you. Donald, here's a question. What do you make of Donald's Canada 51st state threats? I just got Canadian citizenship. I'd like for it to remain a country. You're fine, Donald. First of all, congratulations. I wish I could say that I had Canadian citizenship. Yes, he cannot make without declaring war. He cannot make Canada 51st state. I think that was just his reminding other world leaders like Justin Trudeau that if you are going to play Donald's game, you're going to lose and he will humiliate you. So yeah, no, Trudeau walked right into that trap and he should have known better. From Philip. So, Mary, so did the Mets regret it? Do they win the World Series in 2025? Again, I am not the only sport I follow really closely is tennis. So I love the Mets. I grew up watching the Mets. Going to Shea Stadium was one of my favorite things to do when I was a kid. But when I used to be an ardent baseball fan. So like I knew all the stats and I collected baseball cards and all that stuff. Not so much anymore. But I still do love the Mets. I have a deep fondness for them, and I've got to tell you, I hate it when they act like the Yankees. So, I'm just not a fan of that kind of move. I mean, I hope it works out well for the team because obviously the players don't have any say in how the owners, and I also hate it. The people who own baseball teams or sports teams are called owners. I find it a little creepy, but you know, players don't have any say over what owners do. So I don't want it to hurt the team. But yeah, not a fan of that kind of gr- grotesque expenditure. Because like who really benefits from it? Other than one, so obviously. So Cindy, can you recommend coping skills for dealing with a transition and the next 4 ugly years? Hmm. I mean, there are a bunch of things. One, we need to detach enough so that we don't treat everything like an emergency. Not everything is an emergency, right? It just isn't. Um, and I think being prepared in advance, it's going to be awful, you know? Uh, and I think recognizing that kind of, not sure how to put this in a way that doesn't sound horrible, but if we know that, then we can't be shocked all the time, right? So that hopefully frees up energy for us to figure creative ways to kind of fight back. Um, the transition again has just been abjectly awful. Mostly, I have to say because of the Democrats, but nothing that's happening like in the context of the transition, other than the Democrats just like fucking off, is news, right? Donald is nominating horrible people. Are we surprised? We shouldn't be. It's not really news. The news is going to happen in the hearings. Are there going to be confirmation hearings? Are the Republicans going to do their jobs? Like that's when we'll have to pay attention. So I would say just, go um just kind of find a different baseline, right? We know it's going to be bad, so therefore we can't be shocked when it's bad. And he's going to do a lot of things that are designed solely to drive us crazy. Don't be driven crazy and come to places like, the Mary Trump media channel to get your facts because we need to stay engaged, right? But we don't need to be up in arms about everything. What we need to be doing is figuring out ways to be productive and prepare for when we can start changing things. And also, I think that means personally, finding ways to, decompress, um, be creative, be connected that aren't about politics. I talk about that a lot, whether it's learning something new, getting a new hobby, being creative, making sure that you go out with friends, finding new community, volunteering, whatever. There's so many things, right? So we have to be vigilant. We need to pay attention, but it's not like I guess ever since Biden, or say maybe a month before Biden stepped down, it felt like I was hooked in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because everything was at stake. Well, all right, well, we lost and everything's still at stake, but we can't we have to find out different ways to approach it and deal with it that do not require our being constantly subsumed with the horrors, basically. Elliot, why do people think Donald is like them when he really wants nothing to do with them? I don't know. I don't know. I think, well, I kind of know. That doesn't really like make that much sense to me, but there are a bunch of different reasons. One is there are a lot of bad people in the world, so they kind of like that he gets away with everything. I think that's part of it. There's some people who kind of want to be in that position, you know. Um, they want the system to be rigged in their favor. They want somebody in charge of rigging it in their favor even more. They like the fact that he lies and that he cheats, steals, commits crimes, and gets away with all of it. I think partially they also like that he is a total loser and has still managed to fail upwards so spectacularly because it gives them hope. Um, but I think mostly it's just because, you know, he hates the right people and he champions things about them that, you know, like their whiteness and their privilege that make them feel better about themselves, but just protect them from the knowledge that maybe like there's really not that much great going on in their lives, which kind of feeds into the whole grievance thing, you know. It's amazing. But yes, you're right. He has nothing but contempt for these people. It's quite stunning. I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm gonna try. Zanaker, would I run for office? I think that's I know this is not a definitive answer because I don't know. Who knows what would happen in the future? But I think it's extraordinarily unlikely. I'm not a politician. I think I can make more of a difference outside, you know, working outside of the system, but extraordinarily unlikely. But I don't think one can ever say absolutely not about something like that. Um, although I'm pretty close to saying absolutely not about something like that. Rebecca, what would be Donald's eternal hell? Also, what does he fear? Just wondering, with all that Donald has reaped, what could be his eternal fate? If you can't fully answer now, email it better. No, I have an answer. His eternal hell would be to be in a room alone, without a mirror, without a television, and without a cell phone, and without the internet. In other words, to be alone with himself. I think he would cease to exist, honestly. Um, what does he fear? He fears that people will learn the truth about him, which is that he is a weak, pathetic, uh, sad child who is nothing of the person he pretends to be. It's my theory. I actually go into great detail about all of that in my first book, Too Much and Never Enough, if you want to pick it up. Uh, okay, Rebecca. Oh, okay. So sorry, that's you again. Uh, no, the protocol is just keep asking, and I'll get to as many questions as I possibly can. GL abuser. Objectively speaking, where do you rank Donald among all last? Last. I thought he was. I mean, it's okay. It's hard to it's hard to be worse than, you know, Andrew Jackson or Andrew Johnson. Um, obviously, it's hard to be worse than presidents who, you know, enslaved people. But it's also in the context in which they were living. However, I think that given what he's done in terms of destroying the progress we've made in terms of dividing the country. I don't know why people keep forgetting this, but he killed like 600,000 Americans with COVID. I mean, what? Now we need to see how many Americans he's going to kill with measles and polio? I guess. He's a traitor. I mean, so in other words, like Jackson, Johnson, all the worst of the worst presidents, many of them, the worst things they did were completely within bounds, which is horrifying, but true. Donald is the one who's just like breaking norms right and left, weakening and destroying our institutions, and just finding out new ways to dismantle us. So yeah, if not the worst, then certainly the worst three. And this administration will be worse than his first one. So, and I mean, I think historians put him last on the list, which is really saying something when, you're talking about a president who committed genocide against Native Americans and another president who basically pretended that the Civil War never happened and that, the traitors who were responsible for the death of hundreds of thousands of Americans and who were fighting for the right to continue to enslave, torture, and murder an entire race of people. It's kind of shocking. But yeah, whatever he's done, it'll be much worse this time around. So what are you gonna do? We're gonna keep fighting. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, Gene, why wasn't Donald charged with reckless endangerment? 500,000 plus COVID deaths due to his lies and deceptions happened right before our eyes. The call with Bob Woodward, Bruce. I don't. You know what, Gene? I don't know. I do not know. I swear to God, sometimes I feel like I don't understand anything. How he got away with it, but also why weren't there hearings about that monument? And I'm sorry, it wasn't just incompetence. It was deliberate, malevolent inaction because he made a political calculation that he would benefit from the divisions created by his COVID policies, which was basically just let everybody die. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get to the point where we can do that work. But, I say again, if Bob Kennedy gets in as director of HHS, Donald is going to have the opportunity to kill many, many more people. This is getting dark. All right. Well, it is dark, but Emmanuel, the part from your first book I retell the most is the anecdote with the caviar tasting kit. Any other similar stories about Donald West day to day? Yeah, this was in my first book. I wrote about the awesome Christmases at my grandparents' house. By the way, Christmas was a nightmare every year, and I got some of the most absurd presents. I think before Donald married Ivana, he probably didn't get me a Christmas present, but when he did, I was 12, I think, the first time she came. I got a 3-pack of underwear from Bloomingdale's, which was very, very generous of them. And one year I got Ivana was fond of regifting. So one year I got a gift basket that was obviously from it's like a luncheon or something that she had done. And it was, I was wrapped in cellophane and it had like crackers and something, but there was something obviously missing. Like there was, at the bottom of those gift baskets, there's like fake grass or paper or whatever. And there was an indentation. And my cousin actually was like, what happened to the caviar? Not that I was 12 or what, 13 or 14. I don't even think I knew what caviar was. But um, yeah. So I think day to day. I mean, I didn't see him day to day. He was my uncle. So I saw him at my grandparents' house on the weekends and stuff. And when he was there, um, like we would play when it was just me, my brother, and my cousin David. We were the three oldest because Donald's kids didn't come around until much, much later. We'd play in my grandparents' backyard. We'd play soccer, we'd play baseball, catch with a hardball. And no matter who it was, Donald would always throw the ball as hard as humanly possible, even if he was throwing it at me. And I was, I think, how old am I? How old is he? I'm about 19 or 20 years younger than he is. So, I'd be like 7 and he was in his late 20s or early 30s and he would throw this hardball at me as hard as possible. And practically break every bone in my hand. And one Christmas, my brother bought me a catcher's mitt, which made no sense. And I eventually realized it was to protect me from Donald. So that when he did throw the ball at me, I didn't break every bone in my hand. It was fun. Johnny, do I think members of Donald's cabinet would initiate a final solution type policy to groups of people, and would he be supportive of it? What do you think? Wow. All right. That's going somewhere I don't want to go. I think let's keep our eyes on what they're promising right now, and then let's keep an eye on what they do. They're promising to deport up to 20 million people and put some of them at camps and punish anybody who tries to protect undocumented workers. So I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again. There's no bottom here. Donald will do whatever he wants, and he'll do whatever he thinks is most beneficial to him. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Cheryl, how effective can any people-based politics be against the obvious power play by billionaires to overtake the world economy, and how will money matter if it's only handed to the select few? Yeah, very good question. I think that's why Democrats need to do more. Democrats need to do whatever possible when they have power again to solve the problem of the Supreme Court, right? We need a majority in the Supreme Court. It is a corrupt, illegitimate supermajority on the Supreme Court. And if for Democrats who've done nothing about it is another serious problem I have with them. The other thing that has to be taken in hand is wealth inequality. It is obscene that anybody, I don't care who it is allowed to amass the kind of wealth held by the people Donald is putting in his cabinet. It is obscene and beyond comprehension that Elon Musk now has $200 billion more than he had a month ago. We should never have gotten rid of the Truman 90% tax rate on wealth. We need to get back to that. Seriously, being a billionaire should be illegal, in my view. If that's not enough money for you, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I would probably, I mean, I'm not making any promises because I've never had this experience. I'm pretty sure I could get by on $1 billion. Maybe. Because now I do know what caviar is and I really like it. So maybe $1 billion wouldn't be enough. No, but seriously, it's like the wealth inequality is one of the biggest problems we have, and allowing America to become an oligarchy, it's not the way to go. With the mass exodus from Twitter occurring, what will be the result of all the MAGAs left on X? Will they gaslight themselves so much low and blood? I think, Lindsay, that a lot of them are going to try to go over to Blue Sky and start up trouble. Like, I get a fair amount of hate on Blue Sky. It's nothing like Twitter, though. Yeah, I mean, that's their problem. Like, they need us. We don't need them at all. Although I'm guessing, I again, I'm on Blue Sky. I don't spend lots of time there yet, but I'm assuming they actually have moderators. Uh, so yeah, they just need to either they're going to follow us, or they're just going to devolve into the kind of 4chans of the world, and just, or like the truth socials of the world, and just keep riling each other up and becoming less and less relevant. From Maryland, Mary, which MSM companies do you think will cave after the? I think they all will. They all have, because every single one of them is owned by a rich white Republican. That's the sad truth of it. And as friend and fellow nerd avenger Brian Karam often says, one of the biggest problems is that the media is in the hands of a tiny, tiny number of companies, and it's creates all sorts of problems. Linda, has Donald ever had a driver's license? Does he know? Yes. Yes, he has had a driver's license. He knows how to drive? What's interesting? I don't know if I've ever been in a car he's been driving, though, because he never drove a lot. Because my grandfather gave him a limo and a chauffeur from fairly early on. I don't think he's a good driver, but hello, Mercedes. You want to say hi? No, you're muted in case you want to say hi. But it's weird because, like, we used to drive around in my Uncle Rob's. My Uncle Rob had a red convertible, and we used to drive around with him all the time. But Donald, no. And I'm guessing he probably hasn't driven a car in decades. Rich, what do you think about Donald bringing Daniel? No, did that happen? Swear to fucking God. That's what I think of it. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh, that's what the right does, right? They embrace murderous white men who kill the right people. Just in those of you who don't know, Daniel Penny was acquitted of I don't remember what the charge was. I think maybe criminally negligent homicide. He was found not guilty. But he did kill an unarmed, mentally ill black man on a New York subway. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but it's just another one of those things. It's like that's just to hurt us, and you know that's the world they want, and that's what we're fighting against. Disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But Joe Manchin was there too. Really not gonna miss him. From 5-6 Nick Rich. That's it. Hey, thank you. Oh, that's very kind of you. And thank you for the donation. As I've said before, and will continue to say, it really helps us so much. From D. Riz Jr. Donald being transactional, what would he demand of January 6ers in exchange for pardons? Nothing, because it's a flex. He doesn't need anything. They already did it, right? They gave him the insurrection. So, he'll keep trotting them out because that's all he needs from them. That's another mark my words. He's going to try to make January 6th a national holiday because he's a traitor and he hates America and he hates us. From Paul, is Donald actually a Christian? No. Donald is has no religious beliefs whatsoever. He doesn't the only higher power he believes in is himself because he thinks he's a higher power. Like that's one of the few things I find inoffensive about him is that he doesn't have that kind of belief system. I don't care about that. Um, what's grotesque to me is that he uses religious people and white evangelicals, and he's hypocritical about it. But no, he's not a Christian and he doesn't believe in anything. From Jude. If Donald dies, would his party just run around like a chicken before collapsing, or would it grow a new head and resurge? Um, I I think I think it endangers this movement because there's nobody to replace him. And obviously Vance would become president, but what I mean by replace him is there is no other charismatic leader on the right. Like nobody comes close. There's literally no Republican that would have won this election, which is a terrifying condemnation on this country in general and the Republican Party specifically. So I think it would hasten, hopefully, the end of the movement, but it wouldn't happen overnight because they would still be in power, and it might make the project of undermining / destroying American democracy more urgent. So, Kissy Cat, do you think they will come after? I don't think they can. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know enough about how those things work. I certainly hope not. Let's put it that way. Oh, look at this. Ginger Rogers. Okay. I don't know if that's actually your name or if that's homage to Ginger Rogers of Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers, but Ginger Rogers is like one of my faves. Any book recommendations on foreign policy? I know because I don't really read books like that. So this isn't really about foreign policy, but Fiona Hill's memoir is really good. I think it's called "There's Nothing for You Here." It's fascinating, and also Ginger, thank you so much for your donation. And I just want to close out by thanking some of you. Shauna, fantastic. Rosanna, thank you so much. AJ, you super stickers rock. Mariana, fantastic. Oh wow, more. Barbara, thank you, thank you. Vicky, thank you. I think that's overstating it, but thank you, Vicky. That's extremely kind of you. Wow, Michael, look at that. That is incredibly appreciated. Darren, you too. You guys are so awesome. And yes, Social Security self-funded. It has zero to do with national debt. You're absolutely right. We need to fix Social Security, make it better for everybody, not get rid of it. Thank you so much, Mariana. That's great. That's really nice. Double dipping. It's fantastic. Um, Jacob or Jacob, I'm sorry, I'm not sure which. No, I'm not afraid of anything, basically. And thank you so much for that. All right, we're running a little late, but I just want to make sure that all of you super stickers and donators got your props. We again, I know I'm repeating myself, but we appreciate it so much. And we couldn't do this without you. And we want to keep doing it because um you all still care, and that makes all the difference in the world. Like this work is hard enough, but knowing that you are in this fight too just makes it possible. And it actually makes it something I look forward to. So thank you so much to all of our moderators who did such an amazing job. And happy birthday again to Susan. Thank you so much, Mercedes, who's been dealing with a vet emergency. We will see you guys. I think it's Sunday, right? I'll have some videos up tomorrow, but the nerds will be back Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern. And we'll know for sure by Tuesday. It's a weird couple of weeks because of the holidays. We've got Christmas coming up on the 25th, obviously. And December 25th is also the first night of Hanukkah and then New Year's. So we'll have a schedule for all of you, so you'll know. I already let you know about there will not be an Ask Me Anything next Sunday, but there will be on the evening of December 25th. So although now that you know what? I had it in my head that the first night of Hanukkah was the 24th, and it's not. So I might rethink that because I don't want to do this on the first night of. You know what? Let me think it through. I'll get back to you guys. In the meantime, before Tuesday, please stay safe, be kind, stay warm, and take it slow. I'll see you soon. Good night.